Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we have another debut on the channel, this time by a constructor by the name of MrMercurial, who sounds like he should be making THERMO Sudokus, but he's actually made an arrow Sudoku. Well, an arrow Sudoku with a 1 killer cage in the corner, and this is called Killer Quiver. This puzzle, I'm not sure. Sometimes, the title of puzzles, they give you a clue as to how they're meant to be solved, but I'm not sure about this one. I mean, obviously, it is notionally a killer Sudoku, and it's notionally an arrow Sudoku, but I'm not sure whether Killer Quiver is telling us we need to focus very hard on this cage or focus on the arrows. We shall see. This puzzle's been heavily recommended, by the way, by 3 world-class solvers, all of whom have solved it, so there's no question about that. But they say this is a very unusual and brilliant puzzle and not terribly easy. So you can see, well, you probably can't see, but I'm starting this slightly earlier in the day than usual in case the video runs for a very long time. And now, before we get on to the actual puzzle, let's talk about our Sudoku puzzle hunt, which is live on Patreon at the moment, continuing to garner amazing feedback. Do have a go if you've not tried it. In fact, I should read you out the names of the people who've solved it in the last 24 hours. Let me do that. Dina Zake, Swaroop Gugalam, David Hans, Kuram Ali, Phoebe Stanton, Benjamin Huang. Well done to all of you. I can tell you, if you get through that hunt at all, you have done some serious solving. There are a lot of puzzles, and some of them are not easy. But I will say that Stefan Bura and Akash Jain, whose puzzle hunt it is, I think they have done a phenomenal job in terms of pitching the difficulty at the correct level, because you never feel you're quite stuck on it. You feel like there's always a little bit more than you can do, and that takes some mastery, actually, not to just leave solvers feeling completely lost. And yeah, and I know that from the feedback that when people have got through it, they have loved it. So anyway, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's called Tracking the Cryptid. Do have a go. Now, one thing as well, as I have recorded a crossword video. If you enjoy the cryptic crossword on the channel, I will probably release a crossword video tomorrow morning UK time, just of me running through a puzzle that was recommended by the crossword editor at the Independent newspaper here in the UK by somebody called Hoskins. So I did that yesterday. It was a lot of fun, and I'll post it tomorrow. Now, what are the rules of this puzzle? Let me read them to you. Normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. Well, yeah, okay, there's only one cage, so that's necessary for the rule set, but it doesn't really help with the puzzle. Digits in the circled cells represent the sum of all digits along the path of that circle's arrow. So that's normal arrows rules. Digits can repeat within a sum provided they obey other Sudoku rules. So, I don't know, that means that whatever we put in this cell here has to be the sum of whatever we put in those 3 squares. And when the arrows bend, we could put, so along this arrow, for example, it would be possible for this and this to be the same digit, because that wouldn't break the rules of Sudoku, and there's no restriction on having repeated or no repeated cells along arrows. That's all there is. Do have a go. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I tell you one thing I noticed as I was putting this into the software, and that is that an awful lot of the arrows here are single cells. So although they are notionally arrows clues, what they're actually saying, these two, all this is saying is that those two are the same digit. So although it's true they sum to the same number, it's really a sort of similar digit constraint. And the other thing that's interesting is if you look at these ones around the central box, they all point into the central box. So all of these yellow cells are going to have to be different digits. Because obviously, if they weren't, we get a repeated number in box 5, which isn't going to work. Now, this doesn't help us solve the puzzle, but it's just what I noticed as I was sticking it into the software. So I thought I'd tell you. Anyway, let's actually try and solve this now. So probably the place to start is the longest arrow. That's a 5-cell arrow. Ah, right, okay, so this arrow is actually a gimme. Because what's the minimum I can make those 3 squares add up to? Well, it's going to be 1, 2, and 3. If these add up to 6, what's the minimum I could make those add up to? Well, I could put a 1 and a 2 into them, And now this arrow now adds up to 9. Well, it can't add up to more than 9 because this needs to be a single digit total. So it must in fact add up to 9. And you can see that therefore we get a 1-2 pair there, a 3 here, and a 1-2 pair here, and we can put the 9 in. So we actually know something straight away. And that's that 1, 2, 3 triple is looking at that cell, which is on another, well, it's on a 3 cell arrow. So the minimum this can be is 4. So this has to be 7 or 8. It can't be 9 because there's a 9 in row 5 already. And the minimum I can make those two squares is 1 and 2. And there has to, okay. These could still be 1 and 3. If this was 4, 1, 3, that would add up to 8, but that's okay. But you can't put a digit higher than 3 in these two squares because that will force this up to being 9. And this square can't be as high as 6, so it's a 4 or a 5. And there must be a 1 in one of those two squares. Because if there isn't, this will add up to 9 at least, which it can't do. So actually, this 1, 2, 3 triple does constrain our arrow here a little bit. This arrow is force okay. So we know this arrow immediately must have a repeated digit on it. How do we know that? Well, if it didn't, it would add up to 10. 1, 2, 3, and 4 add up to 10. So which digit is it that's repeating on this arrow? Well, it can't be anything in there, because if there are 2 repeats in there, they'll repeat in box 1. So it must be this cell and this cell that are repeated, because that's the only, it can't be this one and that one, for example. They're in the same column of the, so these two are the same. And again, right, okay, so these have to be 1 and 2. We don't know which of 1 and 2, but they can't be 3, because if these were both 3, the minimum this arrow could be is 9, because we'd have double 3 here plus a 1, 2 pair. That adds up to 9. So we get 1 and 2 here, and these are the same digit. Now, so if these are double 2, you'd have to keep this below 9. If this is 2, so that would have to be 1 and 3. So if this is double 2, this has to equal 8. If this is double 1, you can have 2 and 3 then, and that would equal 7. So 7 is possible. 2, 3. Oh, bother. 4 is possible in here. Bobbins. Yeah, you can have 4 in here, because you could have, or can you? Actually, can you have 4? Hang on a minute. Am I going mad? Yeah, you can have 4. No, you can't. I am going mad. Don't go mad, Simon. No, you. If this was double 1, that's, yeah, you can. You can put 4 and 2 in. Oh, golly. And that would make that 8 again. So you could have 2, 4 here and double 1. Right, that's not helpful, is it? That is not helpful. We get a, okay, that we get a 7, 8 pair here, though. That might be helpful. That must fix that one. Yeah, it does. So this has to be 6, because this arrow is a 3-cell arrow, and the minimum I can make it add up to is 6 if it's 1, 2, and 3, which it now must be. Now, what next, you may well ask. So we've got loads of 1s, 2s, and 3s dotted around the grid. We've got the central row now must be full of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that's interesting. Oh, that is. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful because of these weird little arrows. Because now this square, well, it's more relevant for this square and this square, I think. because you're going to push 5, 1, 2, 3, 4s and 5s into the middle box. Look, if we actually label this fully up, this has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those squares there, that sort of Z pentomino, is a quintuple in box 5 of the grid, which means these squares are 6, 7, 8, and 9. And they are mirrored in those squares, which are 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we know all of these, we know every single one of these is a different digit. I'm not sure what that means, but that feels like it must be incredibly important. Now that's an interesting thought I just had. Look at this. We know there's a 1 in one of these two cells, and I know there's a 1 in one of those two squares. So this is an x-wing on 1s. What do I mean by an x-wing? I mean that when I look at the finished solution to this puzzle, as one of these digits must be a 1, let's imagine we saw a 1 here in the finished solution, then we would know that there must be a 1 there in the finished solution. Now, the only other thing or state of existence that could persist when we look at the finished solution is that this cell is not a 1. And in that case, we know that will be a 1, and therefore this will be a 1. So either way, we get the sort of bones of this X shape, which means you can't put any more 1s in row 6 and row 7, because if you do, you will definitely get a clash. Now that means that square can't be a 1. It means this square can't be a 1, which means that can't be a 1, and it means that can't be a 1. And that is absolutely useless. It was a nice thought, but I don't think it's done anything. Okay. I'm wondering about colouring now, because especially for the higher digits, like that, this is a pair. And we know that this is not the same colour, so whatever goes into those two squares has got to go into this square by Sudoku. I'm definitely colouring this actually. So those 3 digits are the same. Let's colour in all of the high digits. So we'll make those blue. We'll make these, what shall I make these? Orange. Yeah, they stand apart. And I might make, shall I make the low digits something as well? Is that going to help me to keep track of the world? I haven't got 9 colours. I'm not sure. Oh, can I now do something with the killer cage? Doesn't there has to be a 1 in these 3 squares, that's for sure, because if there isn't, they would add up to 9 already before you get to this square. So there's definitely a 1 in these 3 squares. Now, is there a 2 as well? If there's no 2, this would be 1, 3, 4, plus 1 is 9. There is definitely a 1 and a 2 in these 3 squares, so this cage is either 3, 6 or 4, 5. If it was 4, 5, we would have all the low digits plate. Well, we wouldn't know where they were, but we would know we would have an F pentomino of low digits in box 1. I'm not sure whether that's important. 1, 2, no, I haven't quite got 5 low digits there. I think maybe I will. I'm going to label low digits, i.e. digits 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in a colour. I will make that colour, what are my options here? Purple maybe. Yeah, that works. Okay. So, what does it mean? So we know at least one of these digits is a low digit. Oh, I know what it does mean. I've got 4 high digits already in column 5, so these are all purple now. Now it looks... Ah, that's purple. Oh, good. Look. In row 8, I've got 5 low digits again. Oh, I don't have... I don't have the ability to know what the order is of the high digits, so I'm just going to have to remember these are all high. So this is a high digit. So this... Oh, this is very good. Okay, this one I do know, because this one can't be orange, blue or red. So it must be green, and those two are therefore green. That means these two change colour. They become purple. There must be a green in one of those 2 cells. Oh no. So there must also be a green in one of those 3 cells. Oh, it's so close. Like, if you knew that one of those 2 had to be green, you'd know there was a 6 in the 9 cage. And you nearly know it, but you don't quite know it because that could still be anything of 6, 7, 8 or 9. This is a strange puzzle. There's... Now, how do you actually learn what's going on here then? So this domino here, that domino is 1 high digit. Oh, I see, it's a blue. So one of these 2 squares is blue, the other one is purple, because we need to have 5 purples in column 4. So there's a blue-purple domino here. Aha! I have something. Let's remember that about this domino and think about this triomino. Now, unless I've miscounted, these yellow squares here need to consist of 1 high digit and 2 low digits. But this is so important now, because if I make this square purple, I've now completed my quota for purple in row 2. So I definitely need this square to be a high digit. But now that means that will be a low digit because there are 2 low digits in this triple. And if I put a low digit there, the arrow means that will be a low digit as well. So what we'd have is, I don't know, let's say, in fact, that square, if it was high, would have to be orange, interestingly. So this would be orange. Now this would have to be purple. That would have to be purple. And now I've got 6 purples in row 2, which won't do at all. So there is simply no way this square can be purple, because you either then have to put a 6th purple here, or because you have to put a purple here, you get a 6th purple there. So this square is a high digit, and we know it's blue. We know it's blue. It can't be orange, and it can't be red or green. That's blue. This is purple, and we're off and running. Well, not really running, I would say more trotting. So now one of these... so we can extend this logic again. Is it possible both of those are purple? Well, the answer is no, because if both of these are purple, this would also be purple because of the arrow, and then we'd have 6 purples again in row 2. So that must be purple. Now, yeah, let's keep going. Where is the 5th purple in row 2 of the grid? Well, it could be here. That's possible. If it's not here, this will be purple, so it will be there. So one of these 2 squares is purple. Therefore, the rest of the row is not purple. These 2 squares are high digits. And because I can't really label I don't know what they are. That's a bit annoying. These are generic high digits. They're generic high digits. I know that one can't be 9. Don't know anything about this one. Well, it can't be. Neither of them could be blue. Right, okay. Sorry, I'm not sure what that means. So maybe I can I now use this killer cage? If if this was 4 and 5, that would complete the purples for row 1, so all of those would be high digits. These would be high digits. That's blue, so that's blue. Let's actually take the gifts before we try and work out the complexities. So exactly one of these is purple. I'm not sure. I feel like there's a way of working out what's going on in this top part of the grid. I'm just not quite seeing what it is. And for that, my apologies. Right, okay, look. 1, 2, 3 here. I've now got these two purples. So this square is a 4 or a 5. That is absolutely hopeless. How do you do this puzzle? I think I'm probably, it feels like it's right on the tipping point. Sometimes you get this sensation in a puzzle where it feels like it's about to tip over, because if you get one more deduction, it'll have such an enormous effect. That's what I feel is the case here. Now, there's one of these is green. Do I have to do Sudoku somehow here? So we've got these two cells and these two cells, which are mirrors. Do we know any more than that? In fact, that's not even true in this case. Oh yes, it is true. It is true in that case. I was forgetting about this cell. But obviously these have to be different, and therefore those have to be different. So it is true. There are sort of two pincers like this. Sorry about this. Now, this one. So this is a 1 or a 2. This is a 1 or a 2. That's a bit interesting if this is 1. Because we know from the ones pencil marked here, if this is 1, this is 1, then we know where the 1 goes on this triple. That would give us a 1 here and here as well. That actually continues. Look, we then get a 1, 1, 1, 1. This would be ruling out a 1 from that cell. We know that one of these is a 1, so it would be that cell. And we just get the central three columns, columns 4, 5, and 6, where we might not know where the 1 goes. I have a feeling we might be able to get something done in the middle, though, because... Oh, yeah, of course we can. We can get something done in the middle, because if there's a 1 here and a 1 here, these two can't be 1, and these two can't be 1. But we know there's a 1 in one of these purple cells, so it would have to be that one. That would place a 1 here. So that's really weird. That is really weird. So if this is a 1, it actually just goes all the way around the grid. You can place every single 1. Which does sort of imply that might well be a 1. If it's a 2, Hang on, let me just think about this. If this is a 1, do we know what the value of this is then? We still don't, do we? Because this could still be 8 or 7. If this is a 2, we do then know this is an 8. So if this is 2, 2, this would be a 7. Oh, this is... I think this is important, actually. I think this is important. If this is double 1, you know that's a 1. And that takes you on a journey via these squares here that allows you to place every 1 in the grid. If this is a 2, you can do the same thing. Because this square now becomes a 7, which means there has to be a 2 in this string. We always knew there was a 1 in this string, but we didn't know there was a 2 in it. But if this is a 2, then there must be a 2 in this string, which has to go there. So if this is 2, does it just do the same thing? It does the same thing. Yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. So now, again, you ask the question, where does 2 go in the middle? Because it can't be in any of those squares, it can't be in any of these squares. It goes there, there, there. In exactly the same positions the 1s go. So there is... I'm not even sure if this matters, but it's going to allow me to pencil mark in some extra things. So I'm going to do that. So now I know that is always, this square here is always a 1 or a 2. That's not the most massive breakthrough. This is also always a 1 or a 2, the central square. So where did it go? It went here, 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 here. That one. So this one is also a 1 or a 2. This one, that one is always a... that's always a 1 or a 2. That gives me a 1-2 pair in this box. And that one. I think it was... Yes, it was, because those two become 1s and 2s. Right. So we get a whole load of extra squares that are 1s and 2s. That's extraordinarily unhelpful. Even though it's quite... What on earth is this telling me? Now I've got a 1-2 pair here, so these squares are 3, 4 and 5. Oh, I've got a 1-2 pair here. Now that might be more interesting. So that means that's not 1 or a 2. That's not 1 or a 2. Oh, yeah, I've got it. I've got it. Here we go. Here we go. Because now, look at the Z pentomino in the middle box. Where does that... This is a 1 or a 2. Where does the other 1 or 2 go? It goes in one of those two cells. Therefore, it goes in one of these two squares. One of these two squares is a 1 or a 2. Well, that square's a 1 or a 2 as well. So this is a virtual 1-2 pair, which means this square cannot be 1 or 2 and has to be a 3. And that, yeah, this is going to break the puzzle open. This is going to break the puzzle open because now 3 doesn't go in either of those squares. So it goes in neither of those squares. It doesn't go here. So this square has to be a 3. That has to be a 3. Remove the 3's from all of these cells. That gives us a 1-2 pair here. This is a 3. That's not a 3 anymore. Now we know what we knew. One of those was a 1, so it's now this one. This has to not be less than 4, so it must be 4 because we can't make this 9. So 8 and 7 get placed. This square now can't be a 3 because this must be... Well, in fact, look. In fact, I've just broken the puzzle, have I? How can this ever be 7? I need a 3 in here. What am I doing? Let me come back to this and just check what's going on. So, yeah, I know what I did wrong. When I scanned up here, when I saw the 7, I was thinking 1, 2, 4. But now I'm rethinking that because I definitely need a low digit to go along with the 2 here. So this has to be 3. That's the only way this... How do we keep this to 7? Those 2 have to be 1. Remove the 1s from these. These 2 have to add up to 5. The only way that's possible is if this is 3. That's 2. That gives me maybe more digits. This isn't 1, so this isn't 1. Now we can figure out the 1s, can't we? Because now we know those 3 are 1s. We just follow this round the grid. 1, 1, 2, 2. That has to be 1. This has to be 1. That has to be 1. This has to be 1. This has to be 2. 2 doesn't go in any of these squares. 2 must go here. 2 must go here. What a fascinating puzzle. It's an unusual puzzle as well. It's sort of a partial colouring puzzle. Although, I mean, there may be a better way of figuring it out, but I have to say I loved the way that these squares that could have been 1 or 2 all mapped to identical places. Now, let's try and keep this going. So, we've learnt quite a bit about 4s and 5s, but not enough yet. This 4 is nice. That's given me a 5 here. So these squares up here, that's got to be a naked single. That's a 4, because it can't be 2 or 3 or 1 or 5. So that's 4. That's 3, that's 4. That fixes that those are 5s, fixes that these are 4s. I still need a 2 in the column. It must go here. This square is a 3 because it can't be a 5. One of these 2 squares has got to be a 5 though, because we need a 5 in the box. One of these 2 squares has to be a 5. One of those 2 squares has to be a 4. We can see which one. That's nice. That's finally going to disambiguate. Oh no, we could have done it actually as soon as we got the 3 in here. We then knew this was a 4-5 pair. We now actually know the order. 4 and 5 go in here. Let's make them purple. All of these, I don't know what colours they are, but I know they're not purple. I still need to put a 2. The 2's got to go there. Let's make that purple. So this row is done. I still need to put 4 into one of those squares. It's got to go in one of those 2 positions. 5 has got to be in one of these 2 positions. Four goes here by Sudoku. Beautiful. That's going to figure out the 4 down there as well. Let's make those 2 purple. 2 has to go here. Whoops, let's make it purple. 5 has to be in one of those 2 cells. Surely we can... I feel like I must be able to disambiguate all of the low digits, because otherwise how does the puzzle ever get solved? Because it's almost a puzzle where the low digits and the high digits are a different puzzle. So how do we figure out this? Is it just the 5s I've not placed? I think it is. Actually, I need a 3s as well. Actually, look, I've not done 3s in this box, and I can do 3s. That must be the 3. Now, so, that's it. Look, if this was 5, you can't place a 5 in there, so that's not 5. So this must be 5. This must be 5. Good. So we get 5s into those 2 squares. Get rid of the pencil marks. That 5 fixes the 5 here. that places the 5 there. Make those purple. Get rid of the pencil mark, and here we go. So now we've just got a colouring problem, I think, to figure out the rest of this. Now you can see that's orange. So how does this resolve itself? Oh, I've not put the 5 in here, sorry. That's 5. Get rid of that one. Green has to be in one of those two. Red, no, it's not the red. What is it? It is it? No, it's not blue. Is it green? Ah, it's green, isn't it? Green is not here and it's not here. So this is green. So one of those two is green. Actually, maybe it's not green then. Red must be here by Sudoku now. This must be orange. Red goes here. So red is not 9 anymore. So these two squares are orange and blue. These are red and green. I'm sure there's a quick way of figuring this out. I'm just not spotting it. Sorry for that. Red. Where does red go in this box? It can't go here or here, so this becomes red. So that becomes blue. This becomes orange. Blue, so close. Green, so close as well. Orange. Orange, yes, we're going to get orange. Orange has to go there. And orange is therefore 7. So let's see if we can finish off the oranges now. I think we ought to be able to. Although that might be famous last words. Orange has to go here, orange has to go here. So now we just double click on the orange squares, put 7 into all of them. Now, what's the next breakthrough? What's this colour? That's got to be green, so let's put that in. If that's green, one of these two is green. This becomes red, so red has to be in this square. Still not figuring out what it actually is. Red has to be in that square, so red is 8. Okay, let's go to red, change it to 8. Now, this square has to be blue. This square has to be blue, which means blue is 9. So we get all of those done. Let's switch that for 9. Oops, that one didn't go in for some reason. And we should just be left with 6 being green. So let's colour all of those 6s in green. Switch to that. And do that. And that, I think, is the solution to the puzzle. Let's click check. Yes, that's how to solve it. What a brilliant puzzle. That is such an unusual puzzle as well. Incredibly intricate logic. And a puzzle that I'm pretty sure I did inefficiently. Sometimes I think I did a puzzle quite efficiently. The one I did the other day by Sir Wozel, I felt, even though it was an hour-long video, that it wasn't terrible once I've finished in terms of logical path. This one, I'm far from sure I did in the most efficient way, but I did do it logically. There was no Mr. Goodliff bifurcation. I hope you enjoyed watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.